What if half of the pain you are carrying is not your life collapsing, but your mind rehearsing a story it never proved? That is the door 101 essays that will change the way you think opens. Brianna Wiest is not writing a normal self-help manual with one formula and 10 neat steps. The book moves through many short essays, but the deeper argument is consistent. Your life is shaped not only by what happens to you, but by the meanings you repeat, the fears you protect, the emotions you suppress, and the daily patterns you mistake for personality. The first important idea is that the mind is not a camera. It does not simply record reality. It edits, labels, predicts, compares, and explains. Two people can go through the same disappointment and build two different futures from it. One person thinks, "This proves I am not good enough." Another person thinks, "This is painful, but it is information." The event matters, but the interpretation becomes the life. Imagine Ravi, who wants a calmer life. Every morning he wakes up, checks his phone before his feet touch the floor, compares himself to people online, rushes through breakfast, answers messages with irritation, and then wonders why peace feels impossible. His problem is not that he never wants peace. His problem is that his routine trains his mind to live in threat, comparison, and reaction. The book asks us to take repeated behavior more seriously than spoken desire. That is why subconscious behavior matters. Wiest keeps pointing to the gap between what people say they want and what their behavior protects. A person may say they want love, but keep choosing unavailable people because uncertainty feels familiar. A person may say they want success, but delay every meaningful step because dreaming feels safer than being judged. A person may say they want health, but keep using stress as proof that they are important. The painful part is that self-sabotage is rarely random. It is usually a protection strategy that has expired. Maybe overworking once helped someone feel valuable. Maybe emotional distance once helped someone survive rejection. Maybe pleasing everyone once kept conflict away. But when the same strategy keeps running after life has changed, it stops protecting the person and starts limiting them. This is where the book becomes practical. Do not only ask, "What do I want?" Ask, "What do I keep choosing when I am tired, scared, lonely, or trying to be approved of?" The answer may reveal the belief underneath the goal. If you keep returning to chaos, some part of you may believe chaos is safer than stillness. If you keep rejecting help, some part of you may believe needing people is dangerous. Routine is one of the book's strongest tools because routine turns identity into evidence. A routine is not just a productivity schedule. It is the emotional climate you build every day. If your day includes quiet, movement, attention, honest work, and small promises kept, your mind receives evidence that you can trust yourself. If your day is built from distraction, urgency, avoidance, and comparison, your mind receives evidence that life is always unstable. Think of Mira, who says she has no discipline. But when she looks closely, she sees that her day gives discipline no place to land. Her workspace is always open to distraction. Her sleep changes every night. Her goals are vague. And her phone gives her a new emotional weather every 10 minutes. The lesson is not to shame her. The lesson is to design a day that makes the desired self easier to repeat. The next major concept is emotional intelligence. In this book, emotional intelligence is not acting calm while you are secretly collapsing. It is the ability to notice an emotion without immediately obeying it, defending it, or turning it into your whole identity. Anger may tell you a boundary has been crossed. Fear may tell you uncertainty is present. Jealousy may tell you what you secretly want. Sadness may tell you something mattered. But an emotion is information, not a dictator. If fear says stop, awareness can ask, is this danger or unfamiliarity? If jealousy appears, awareness can ask, what desire have I refused to admit? If anger rises, awareness can ask, what truth needs a cleaner expression? This is the difference between being led by emotion and learning from emotion. The book also warns that suppressed feelings do not disappear. They move sideways. A person who will not admit grief may become numb. A person who will not admit anger may become passive-aggressive. A person who will not admit fear may become controlling. A person who will not admit loneliness may cling to the wrong people. The emotion still asks to be heard, but it changes costume. One useful story is the person who keeps getting irritated at small things. A cup left on the counter, a slow reply, a small change of plan. On the surface, the problem looks like the cup, the reply, or the plan. Underneath, it may be an exhausted person who has ignored their needs for months. The irritation is not the whole truth, but it is a signal pointing toward a truth. From emotions, the book moves into thought itself. This is where one of its most useful warnings appears. Do not believe everything you think. Thoughts can be memories wearing new clothes. They can be inherited beliefs. They can be old fear trying to predict the future. They can be bias collecting evidence for a story you already decided was true. For example, if you believe you're always behind, your mind will search for proof. Someone buys a house, and you feel behind. Someone starts a business, and you feel behind. Someone posts a happy photo, and you feel behind. The mind does not compare fairly. It compares selectively. It edits out their struggles and edits in your insecurity. This is why cognitive bias matters in ordinary life. Bias is not only a topic for psychology textbooks. It is the invisible filter that says, notice this, ignore that, remember this, exaggerate that. If your core belief is, I am not enough, even kindness can feel suspicious. Praise may disappear quickly, while criticism stays like permanent evidence. Overthinking is another major theme. The book treats overthinking as something that often pretends to be responsibility. It says, I am just preparing. I'm just trying to understand. I'm just being careful. But sometimes the mind keeps thinking because thinking feels safer than action, safer than grief, safer than rejection, safer than not knowing. Picture someone who wants to start a project. For weeks they research tools, compare examples, plan schedules, imagine criticism, and rewrite the idea in their head. It feels productive because the mind is busy, but the real work has not begun. Overthinking has become a comfortable cage. It gives the feeling of movement while protecting the person from the risk of being seen. The book's answer is awareness, not forced positivity. Awareness creates space between thought and obedience. Is this true or only familiar? Is this urgent or only uncomfortable? Am I solving the problem or repeating the feeling of solving it? Am I responding to what happened or to what I fear it means about me? That distinction is especially important with anxiety. The book does not mean that anxiety is fake, weakness, or something people can simply think away. Anxiety can be serious and may need support, treatment, rest, or practical help. But Wiest asks a useful question. How much anxiety is intensified by living out of alignment, suppressing truth, consuming noise, avoiding decisions, or trying to control every possible outcome before taking one honest step? The next movement is happiness. Wiest challenges the idea that happiness should be chased directly. If every day must prove that your life is working, then ordinary discomfort starts looking like failure. A meaningful life cannot depend on a perfect mood. It needs values, relationships, work, rest, honesty, and habits that can carry you through emotional weather. This connects to the upper limit problem. People are not only familiar with pain, they can also be familiar with a certain amount of good. When life becomes calmer, healthier, or more promising than the old identity expects, the nervous system may search for a way back to the known level. Peace may feel boring. Healthy love may feel suspicious. Progress may feel unsafe because it removes old excuses. Imagine a person who finally enters a kind relationship after years of inconsistency. Instead of relaxing, they start testing the other person, creating arguments, or looking for hidden rejection. The problem is not that kindness is bad. The problem is that their system knows uncertainty better than safety. The book's point is that growth may feel wrong at first simply because it is unfamiliar. Goals, creativity, and excellence also get reframed. Goals are useful only if they build a life worth living, not if they become another way to reject the present self. Creativity requires making something before approval is guaranteed. Excellence is not perfectionism. Perfectionism asks, how do I avoid judgment? Excellence asks, what would make this more true, more useful, more alive? Resistance appears whenever a person approaches meaningful work. Resistance sounds intelligent. It says, wait until you are ready. Wait until you are more confident. Wait until nobody can criticize you. But readiness often comes after beginning, not before. The book pushes the reader to see that a life can be lost not only through dramatic failure, but through endless preparation for a version of courage that never arrives. Then the book turns toward relationships. Here the central idea is that every relationship reveals the relationship you already have with yourself. If you do not trust your own needs, you may call self-abandonment love. If you fear being left, you may confuse inconsistency with passion. If being chosen feels like proof of your worth, you may hand another person too much power over your identity. Heartbreak is treated as real pain, not a motivational slogan. Sometimes you grieve a person. Sometimes you grieve the future you imagined. Sometimes you grieve the version of yourself who existed inside that relationship. But heartbreak can also reveal where fantasy was doing more work than reality. You may discover that you were attached not only to what the person gave, but to what you hoped they would eventually become. The healthier relationship standard in the book is not intensity. It is honesty, space, boundaries, kindness, and self-respect. Love should deepen a life, not erase the person living it. If a connection requires you to become smaller, quieter, less honest, or less alive in order to keep it, the question is not how to hold it tighter. The question is what part of you believes this is the best love available. The book then moves into identity. Wanting a different life is not the same as becoming the person who can live that life. Many people want calm, but keep practicing urgency. They want depth, but keep practicing distraction. They want self-respect, but keep practicing self-betrayal. Identity changes when repeated evidence changes. Self-esteem, in this frame, is not only the feeling that you are worthy. It is self-trust. Do you keep promises to yourself? Do you tell the truth when denial is easier? Do you repair what you damage? Do you leave what violates your values? Every small act of follow-through tells the mind, I can count on myself. That is deeper than a slogan. Purpose is also made less mystical. The book does not demand that everyone find one perfect sentence that explains their life. Direction often comes through attention. What problems keep calling you? What work makes you more honest? What responsibility can you carry? What kind of person do you respect yourself for becoming? Purpose may be built through practice before it is explained in language. Acceptance is one of the final ideas, and it is easy to misunderstand. Acceptance is not approving of harm. It is not staying passive. It is not pretending pain is beautiful. Acceptance means you stop spending your energy arguing with a reality that has already arrived, so you can use that energy to respond. If action is possible, act. If grief is necessary, grieve. If help is needed, seek it. If release is required, stop gripping the past as if pressure can rewrite it. Solitude matters because it removes the noise that helps us avoid ourselves. Being alone is not automatically wisdom, but a person who cannot tolerate quiet may keep using people, entertainment, work, or drama as anesthesia. In solitude, the avoided questions return. What do I actually feel? What am I pretending not to know? And what would I choose if I were not performing? The closing concept is metanoia, a deep change of mind, heart, self, or way of life. This is not a temporary mood shift. It is the moment when an old interpretation loses authority. The world may still contain difficulty, but you no longer have to see every difficulty through the same wound, fear, or inherited story. So the full message of 101 essays is not that thoughts magically control everything. It is more grounded than that. Change the way you think, and you change what you notice, what you tolerate, what you choose, how you love, how you recover, and how honestly you live. The final question is simple but not easy. What pattern are you finally ready to stop calling your personality?